Good evening, folks, and here's a little bit of news from Star Wars about J.J. Abrams being in a recent interview from Empire that he's not repairing what came in The Last Jedi, which is kind of odd since there was so many things wrong with the pacing, the plot, the characters, the characterization, the choreography, the fight scenes, logic. Just a lot to fix. There's a lot of problems with the movie. So it's like going into a broken room. All the furniture's destroyed. The walls are dilapidated. All these things are wrecked up. And he's walking there. He's like, I don't got to fix this. I'll just do my own thing, which is fine. You don't have to literally repair what came before. I remember a lot of people back in the day would talk about trilogies like the Mass Effect trilogy. Say, oh, don't worry. Mass Effect 3, the third instance of this trilogy, will fix all the problems of the second and the first. It's not how it's done. That's not how writing works. If you had a good writer who cared about consistency and lore and stuff like that, then great. Then you might actually get the next writer to say, okay, I got to fix our problems because we heard people complain, we knew what we did wrong, we didn't have time, yada yada. Now I can actually address those problems. That's a clever way of telling your audience, you know what? We know we made mistakes. We're going to fix it with a little conversation, a little sentence here, a little bit of dialogue, so that we lampshade the faults of the previous movie. You don't have to do that, but it makes you a rather clever writer. And I don't think we're going to get that out of Abrams at all. It's just not going to happen. So I never found, here he goes, I never found myself trying to repair anything, Abrams told Empire magazine in a recent interview. If I'd done 8, I would have done things differently. Just as Ryan would have done things differently if I had done 7. But having worked on television series, I was accustomed to creating stories and characters that were run by other people. If you're willing to walk away from the thing that you created and you believe is in trustworthy hands, you have to accept that some of the decisions being made are not going to be the same that you would make. And if you came back into it, you have to honor what's been done. Now that's curious. I'm wondering what he means by honoring what's been done. Obviously, you can't just start retconning things. You have to literally follow what's happened. The problem is Rian Johnson did not honor what he did in Episode 7. He just picked up all those setups and he threw them out the door. He just flushed them down the toilet. All the setup, literally the cliffhanger with Luke, a literal cliffhanger on a cliff. He just threw it over his shoulder. He could have thrown that lightsaber off the cliff. That's how much respect and honor Rian Johnson had for the setup of Episode 7. You could interpret Episode 7 any way you like. You loved it, you hated it. Whatever Johnson did with it, he just did his own thing. So why wouldn't Abrams just do his own thing too? What the hell would he care? Hell, he's saying he's not repairing anything. Guess what he's repairing? Little objects. Well, here's Kylo's mask right there. You can see it's all shattered up. Got some red, I guess, Sith glue. I don't know what the hell this crap is. It's got a hole in it. And here's Rey's blue lightsaber. Now, we did see in the trailer that it was being repaired, which is awkward because why would you repair a helmet when the Knights of Ren all have different helmets? They all look different. Kylo could have just gotten a new one. He could have just built his own one. I mean, I'm sure he has the resources of a goddamn star empire to get another helmet that's fully functional and works and is actually, airtight. I don't believe he actually broke the helmet in the elevator. I think he was breaking the elevator with the helmet. So maybe this happened during the Holdo maneuver where the thing just blew up and maybe the ceiling fell on top of the helmet and then it broke. I always like the theory that he repaired his helmet with Darth Vader's helmet because that would at least mean something to Kylo. There's really no meaning behind him repairing his old helmet. And the only thing I can think of remotely is of Snoke telling him to take it off and then he, breaks it or breaks the elevator with it. And then because Snoke is gone, therefore he could put it back on because it's his and he's in charge. That's a pretty stupid reason to repair a helmet and to make it look like that. Like, what's the point of this? This is just like, it's just that's a poor job. Just get another helmet, buddy. There's nothing wrong with these helmets. They look great. They look cool. It kind of looks like a pitcher's or a hockey mask helmet. But yeah, these are cool looking things. Why it has to be like that is stupid. And as for Rey's lightsaber, we have few theories. Like there's the worst one, which it's literally something goes back in time, and those events never happen, or she pulls it out of another timeline, to the point where she has the books now of the Jedi Masters, and she can therefore know how to build one. She has to go on a vision quest and get her crystal, which just so happens to be blue and just so happens to look like Luke's. Maybe. Who knows? But those are two literal objects in this poster or in this cover of things that were repaired in this next movie, in Episode 9. So it's just a funny thing to read about from Abrams. So other things he said, this is everyone's reporting it differently because there's different things he wrote or was recorded. I want to let go of all my expectations, he said. I want to sit back. I want to be entertained. I want to be surprised. I want to be thrilled. I want him to do stuff that I wasn't expecting him to do and just go along for the ride. For me, that's why I go to the movies, you know? Okay. Now, that was Rian Johnson's interview in April with MTV. Now, this is always a problem that I have with people who say that, well, it subverted your ideas of what a movie in the Star Wars universe should be. And I'm like, that's great. I think that's a good thing. You want to have a degree of surprise and mystery. You have to have that to have a bit of intrigue. You want to go, ooh, what's going to happen next? Great. The problem is people go to the movies for a specific reason. They want to put money into something, or they want to spend money on something so they can get the thing they want. In that case, we are actually buying genre. This is actually a John Truby analogy or explanation, that people go to the movies and they buy a genre. And when you buy a genre, you have expectations of that genre, like a sci-fi or science fiction movie. It's going to be in space somewhere, maybe. It's going to have some laser guns, or it's going to have some aliens. It's going to have this or that, depending on the style of content that story is taking place in. Then you have the subgenre, if there is a subgenre. So in this case, we have the expectations of a sci-fi movie, and then we have the expectations of a space opera movie. Those are very specific things. On top of that, we have the instance of a space opera called the Star Wars franchise. And if you look at most of the Star Wars movies, you're going to have fights in space with spaceships. You're going to have fights in some environment with lightsabers. And you're going to have some talk about the light, the dark side, or the Force, people using the Force, people learning about the Force, and a struggle therein. Because that's the overarching plot. It's always evil versus good. There's some whimsical, capricious nature to the Force, and it's being through our heroes and our villains that we see this play out. So that's a typical Star Wars movie. We didn't get too much of that in The Last Jedi. We got some space battles. It was more like a slow-moving car chase. There was the start had Poe fighting and all that. The rebels were fighting against, or the resistance, or whoever they are. I can't remember what they're called. So we had some space battles. It's true. A little unbelievable, a little stupid. I didn't really like the whole dreadnought scene because of the unbelievability of the plan, and they went through with the plan, and that was the whole good-bad thing of the nature of the plan, even though they succeeded in their plan. Leia didn't like it because people died. It's like, well, that's expected. That was the war. You signed off on this plan. It was Poe's idea. You said yes. Yes, he maybe disobeyed order, but if he didn't disobey the order, everyone would be dead. And then there's the actual slow-mo car chase, which doesn't make too much sense. So, yeah, it definitely was a star battle or a spaceship battle, but it just wasn't action-packed. It was stupid and slow and didn't make too much sense for the whole movie. And lots of things could have derailed that. They could have gone to light speed, gotten caught up with them, had a pincer maneuver. All sorts of things could have... They never bothered. Everyone was so dumb. See, we don't want to go to a movie to feel smarter than the people in the movie. And by the people in the movie, I mean everyone in the movie. Not only the villains, but also the heroes. So, not the best feeling to have. You want to be entertained, right? You want to have you can't be entertained by something which is dumber than you. You want to be entertained by something which is more clever than you, more interesting, more something you weren't expecting. Not, God, this is so slow and boring and dumb. Why don't they just light speed ahead and catch up, and then boom, they'd catch them. They'd catch the rebels. But nope, can't do that. Why didn't they follow Finn when he escaped going to light speed, even though they have that technology? All these questions start popping up. So you don't want to have problems with your story because the entertainment value goes down. The other problem was the lightsaber battles. So we had no two lightsabers were clashed, I believe, aside from the dream sequence in with Kylo and Luke. The throne scene did not make too much sense. So yeah, it subverted our expectations of having a lightsaber battle, but the lightsaber battle was symbolic of the fight between the third expectation, which is the battle between the light side and the dark side. The Jedis versus the Sith. What does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be bad? Etc. Instead, you got a bunch of literal red shirts or red gowns doing ridiculous choreography, really, really bad ridiculous choreography, of lightsabers being inconsistent, of weapons being inconsistent, of weapons disappearing and reappearing, of these guys doing flips and maneuvers that are unnecessary, of Daisy Ridley not knowing how to really wield a weapon, and she somehow is able to. And it was really a letdown. It was almost comical at times. Not only literally when they throw that guy down I guess it was a turbine. I don't know what the hell a turbine's doing in the throne room, but all the other ridiculous scenes where she kicks one guy and three guys go flying. Oh, that was a force kick. It's like, no, there's no instance of the force that she knows how to do that. Of course, she's a Mary Sue, so who knows how that works, of course. So yeah, a lot of bad things happen in the movie, and we don't want expectations to be subverted on every level and then be given something worse. We want our expectations to be subverted in a slight way and be given something greater. It's like going to a steakhouse. It's like, okay, a steak's going to cost me $30, $40. That's a lot of money. I better get my fill. I better get my money's worth. And it ends up, hey, the steak is only $20, and not only is it $20, you get prime rib. And it's an 8-ounce queen cut. It's actually really good. You think to yourself, $20 prime rib, 8-ounce. That's a damn good price for a restaurant steak. That's what you want. You want to be subverted on your expectations of quality, and you want the quality to be what you think it should be at, and even higher if possible. That's subverting an expectation. It doesn't really matter about the details, so long as the details make sense and don't break the lore. Don't break your understanding of the universe that everyone knows. Everyone should know about Star Wars at this point. If they don't, then this is not a movie for them. The third part of a trilogy is not the intro to a movie franchise, especially one that's the biggest in the world and has all kinds of other media behind it. So the fact that J.J. Abrams is saying that, I think it's just because he's a company man. He's being positive. He wants this movie to do well. He's like, hey, I got to be positive. Ryan's a great director. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. I want everyone to see this movie. I'm not fixing anything, even though we know he literally is fixing these two objects. And God knows what else about the characters, because there's a lot of problems with the consistency of virtually every single character, even the ghosts. The Ghost Yoda in Episode 8. So I think this is just Abrams saving face, or trying to save face, realizing there was a huge backlash, and just not sticking his feet in the mud, just not getting stuck in that hole, because not a conversation you want to have on a red carpet or a TIFF or wherever he was. Just avoid the conversation entirely. Say nice things and be on your merry way. Anyway, guys, that's me. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later.